Hey guys, it's Nomster, and today I'm going to blink Redstone World to show off a little bit of device I've been working on for the last couple weeks. Well, I've been working on quite a few devices in the last couple weeks because I've been on vacation. I've been able to play Minecraft, just haven't really been able to record much at all, but this is basically one of the coolest things I think I've come up with. So on the left you can see the redstone that it took to basically create this entire thing, and on the right is basically a schematic that I pasted in from a world I've been working on in the meantime, basically out of boredom. Really, I'm not going to use it for anything. Just I've used it in my mech video, I guess, but this just one of the buildings copy and pasted from it. Now, before we get to the actual redstone of it, I want to explain a few things and show off a couple more perks that you can't really tell from the introduction of the video. First of all, this can be done anywhere in the world as long as this redstone is in your spawn chunk, just like most things. We can throw the rock in all four directions, and they are completely separate from each other. So if I come over here, I get the rock again, says throw me, same thing. And if I come over here, it gives me another one, picks it up, nice and clean. So that's something to take in mind, I guess. Another thing that makes it kind of unique, there's been throwing videos in the past, like Simply Sark made a video quite a while ago, I suppose. It was called Throwing, I think. But basically, what his extent of his was throwing a falling sand entity from the player disguised as a melon block. Basically, it's more of a adventure map type thing, what he did, but he was basically just showing off the strength of the tell raw command. So this is more of a practical use, in my opinion. It distracts zombies. It can activate pressure plates and stuff like that, as shown here. Beautiful. And it looks more like a rock than has ever been possible, in my opinion. If you haven't noticed yet, it uses baby villagers, which is a growing thing nowadays. I even think, yeah, Simply Sark also made a video about nanoblocks using kind of a similar concept that I'm using here. It's just works a lot differently, obviously. As you can tell, I'm not trying to make a statue of some type, I'm throwing rocks. So okay, so onto the redstone part of it. First of all, it's pretty simple to explain. In my mech video, I used cannons, very similar to how I did this, basically. The redstone behind the cannons, anyways. So, first of all, there's a fill clock that's basically filling this. Yes, very common. Goes off 20 times a second, and basically it's testing this entire line of comparators and doing some other bonus stuff over here that doesn't really need to be needed. Well, this doesn't need to be needed. It's the thing that kills creepers and skeletons and stuff like that. It clears the weather. But this stuff over here is vital to the entire system working, basically, or looking good, per se. So first of all, the way it's similar to my mech video with the cannons is that it uses a whole chain of AND gates, basically, that separate between height. So as you can see, there is a test for rotation command, and there are 4 different ones testing if I'm looking this way. So as you can see, that torch is off because that comparator is on, because I'm facing this way. If I turn this way, that torch will turn on and the other one will turn off, whichever direction I face. Each direction has its own specific torch, so it's pretty simple to understand. The thing that basically activates the AND gate is if I'm facing the correct direction and I'm also holding a throw me rock in my first slot. So it's in my first slot, it's just not selected. Basically, my first slot is not selected as well. So if I go ahead and, as you can see, this torch is off, the one right here will turn off, along with many others, but this will be the only group of torches that turn off, which is vital to it even working at all. So I throw it, a bunch turn off, but that redstone is the only one that is activated. And we will follow that redstone once I find it. There we go. Gimme. Okay, so let's go to right here. It's basically the same thing for all 4, so they're just higher up and lower down. So if I'm looking in a direction and I pull out the stone, it throws it. Now, how does it throw it, and what is it in the first place? The gist of it is basically a, is this it? Nope. It's a baby villager. So a villager with a very negative age, so it doesn't grow up. Its name is Dinnerbone, and its active effects are invisibility forever. So if I click this button, that's what it looks like, basically. Now it spins around, and there's not really a way to fix that that looks pretty. In Simply Sark's Nanoblocks video, he found a fix for it, but it required them flying, or riding wither skulls, which does not help my case at all, considering you can't really give wither skulls a motion without using teleport commands, that I've found anyways. And two, they float above the ground a little bit due to the fact that they are riding a wither skull, so there's a little bit of space between the ground, so it looks kind of stupid. So, you know, if it doesn't move constantly, but if you get close enough to it, it generally tries to walk around and stuff like that. And this one's not going to pick up a wither skull due to the fact that there's not the other command blocks going off. This one, on the other hand, will basically summon the same exact villager, but it also has the motion to it. Now, it's also relative to the player as well, considering it's an execute at P command, so I can come over here and hit it. Comes from the player again. I don't know if I can pick these ones up. That'll be a negative. So the reason we can't pick those up is due to the fact that I forgot to change the redstone before I started, but I'll explain that when I get to it. Okay, so the next thing basically is the line of commands that happens once you basically meet the requirements of throwing a rock, which is the direction, correction, and the test for item in your first slot being a rock. So there are two torches on this AND gate. Basically the AND gate only, this redstone dust is basically AND gate, and it only turns off when these two torches are met, which means that two requirements are met. So that's explaining the basics of an AND gate redstone wise. Been around for a long time, very useful in my opinion. So two torches turn on at the same time once the requirements are met for throwing a rock. The first command blocks that are activated are executing at a player, very similar to the one we already read. It's summoning a villager named Dinnerbone with the motion. Now, the motion, as seen here, is negative 1.5 and a little bit upwards, so it has a little bit of a parabola, and it's different for all four directions. Basically, it's the only difference between looking in this direction and throwing a rock and looking in this direction and throwing a rock. So this redstone right here, it's, oh, this command block right here, it's summoning with a motion of negative 1.5x. This one right here will be negative 1.5z. The other one will be 1.5x and negative 1.5x, or something like that. Negative 1.5z, sure. It's basically copy and paste, just different direction. It's very simple stuff. The next thing that happens is it clears the player of one stone, basically. So if I'm holding a stone, no matter what the name is, it'll clear one of it, and that's how that works. Now this delay is pretty expandable, not expandable, it's pretty adjustable, as in you can probably mess with this to make it better or worse, who knows. I just put a bunch of repeaters because it fit nicely. I didn't really care about compactness. I wasn't going to add hopper timers, it just complicates the whole process. Just add a line of repeaters, simplicity is bliss. So once it gets all the way down here, it goes into a pointless thing that I realize isn't needed, but at the time I thought I was amazing for doing it. So basically it's executing at the entity named Dinnerbone, so at the rock basically, and it's summoning a wither skull one below it with the direction that is needed for it to actually summon. And all four of these are the exact same, but basically what it's doing is it's basically solving something that I had trouble with, which was not being able to test for a baby villager. I just don't know how to do it. If you do test for villager in a radius, a baby villager will not be picked up in the command for some reason. I don't know if there's a specific command for a baby villager. I tried looking around and I found nothing. So basically my fix for that was summoning a wither skull inside of it and just testing for the wither skull in the radius once it hits the ground basically. And it summons one below just due to the fact that if you summon it directly on, you'll be able to see the smoke for a second. Technically, you'll still be able to see the smoke for a second. If you get really close, you might see the smoke of the wither skull. Every once in a while the particles come up, but not too often, because it summons in the block below it. Sometimes it lingers up just a little bit above the block it's in, but it's very unnoticeable besides that. So really, this system works perfectly fine. The only thing I think I could fix about it is not using a wither skull at all. I forgot the fact that I actually named the baby villager, so instead of just trying to test for villager in the radius, I could test for Dinnerbone in the radius, and then c equals 1, meaning that it'll only do the villager that I'm close to, so it won't do all Dinnerbones in the world. So that would be the fix for that, meaning I won't even need these wither skull things, but I guess that would take off his entire chain of repeaters as well, so it actually compacts it to about half just by taking away that whole wither skull thing. Now, other than my brain farts, I have these right here. Now, these all do the specifics. Basically, I don't think they are needed though. In this case, they are needed, but basically I added these due to the fact that the command I was doing for this was already getting quite lengthy, and it was basically just complicating the whole process for me. I kept running into data tag parsing fails, and then I'd fix them, but it wouldn't do what I wanted it to do still. Like, I'd add motion to it, and then I'd do the data tags properly, but it still would not give it motion. So to fix everything, I just did the essentials of summoning a baby villager that's invisible with motion, and then I did the other essentials in here, basically, which are the resistance effect, so making it invulnerable, which wasn't working when I tried it with a longer command, and giving it the slowness effect, and also the invisibility effect as well, just so it stays. And this goes into another whole thing, but along with these three right here, it also immediately, basically within one game tick, so 1/20th of a second, gives it a stone with using the replace item at entity villager. It's gives stone on its head, basically. That's what the whole rock looks like. That little thing is just an upside down villager, baby villager with a stone block on its head, if you haven't figured that out already. Okay, so, and this right here is something else. Okay, so actually that's not needed at all. Goodbye. Alright, so Viscera here. This system right here basically is something I came up with that prevents that basically allows the zombie to get the slowness effect once it gets near a villager, but still being unique to each zombie, which is kind of hard to think of unless you see it. So basically, I use my redstone knowledge by adding a repeater with 4-tick delay and using a clock that's faster than a 4-tick, meaning this repeater will remain on when this clock goes, even though it's getting multiple pulses. So this command block keeps getting pulses, but this one does not. It only gets an on and off. This one gets an on and off, but repeatedly. So to explain that a little bit better, it's executing at Dinnerbone, and it's testing for a zombie in the radius of 3. So if there's a zombie in the radius of 3, this torch will turn off, which means this clock will start. So I'll show that right here. You'll see that this torch remains off, but this command block keeps getting powered by that comparator. Even though that this comparator keeps going, this 4-tick would fix it. So if this was on 1 tick, of course that would keep going. 2 ticks, keep going. 3 ticks, it would even still keep going. But 4 ticks, it just basically locks because it's going faster than the 4-tick can process. So pretty neat stuff, I thought. Anyways, the comparator that's constantly going, that's actually powering something repeatedly, is a execute at the wither skull, and basically it's executing at each rock, and its effect at E type equals zombie in the radius of 5. So basically it's giving the slowness effect forever for any zombie that's 5 within a wither skull. And sometimes, well, let's go ahead and just show it, I guess. Okay, like I said, it's 3 in the morning, and the reason it's not working is because I broke the torch off of here to show this. So let's go ahead and stop that clock real quick and try this one more time. Get out of my inventory. I hate you. You're useless. You go way over there. You go some distance over here. Perfect. And release my child. So both the zombies go after him, but both zombies do not get the slowness effect. It just depends on the radius. Now, to be expected, the zombie one zombie will be closer than the other, just because this clock is not very fast. So I have it for radius of 5. So basically, this zombie got a radius of 3 before that got activated, just because it's not a very fast clock. This one just happened to basically get this command activated just as soon as he got in the radius. So they won't all be the exact same distance, which is realistic to an extent if you get really big hordes, but in theory, this will work no matter how many zombies you have. The reason I did this is due to the fact that, and basically this clears the zombie of the slowness effect, and only when the clock stops, which means when the zombie is not in the radius of a wither skull. So once you pick up the rock, they'll be free to roam around again and go chase other rocks. So basically, if I can remember what I was just talking about, no idea. Alright, go ahead and pause the video so I can remember, and I'll be back in a second. Guys, I did it, due to the fact that I went back in time and watched my own video. So basically what I was saying is the reason I did this whole system with the slowness effect and such is due to the fact that I could not get the weakness method to work. Somebody named Henrik SB, he's a YouTuber I watch quite often actually, he does some interesting stuff. I think he'd like this. Anyways, I saw a video that he did, and he basically gave the weakness effect to a zombie and made it a very high amplitude, just so basically zombies would not hit other things. So even if I gave him any zombie the weakness effect, they would still attack me, and they would actually still hurt me as well. So I don't know what I was doing wrong. I was using the exact same command he was. So maybe it's because they're not invisible. It would not work even if it wasn't holding a diamond sword, etc. It was just not working. So I just went ahead and went with this method. It kind of works, I guess. Still looks nice. At least they don't hit the rock and the rock take damage, and they just chase a rock around forever. It looks weird if you don't do this. Just add in this little module. Okay, so the next thing it does, basically over here, at the tip of this, it's executing at a player and testing for the wither skull in the radius of 2. Now, like I said, I could just test for Dinnerbone, in theory, but I forgot to take out the whole wither skull system, so maybe it doesn't even work that other way, who knows. But once basically, it's testing if you're next to a rock. So if I come over here and I get on the rock, it simulates picking up the rock. And the way I did that, I just threw the rock again on accident. Get out my redstone zombies chasing them. The reason I did that was because I threw all those, by the way. Oh, they're going after separate ones. That was cool. Anyways. Okay, so back to the redstone. What was this? Yes. Basically, this whole system simulates picking up the rock. What it does first is it gives stone to me with the correct name and lore. So it gives me back this rock specifically, and it teleports the villager. So basically it teleports the rock to the void, and the reason it does that, it only teleports the rock that I'm next to, by the way. So it teleports the rock that I'm picking up and it teleports it to the void just so it kills it also, plus it just disappears rather than makes a cloud of smoke by using the kill command and stuff like that. Just nice and clean. It also plays the sound of random pop, which is the same sound it makes when you pick up items. And it kills the wither skull in the radius of 2. So it basically cleans up the whole mess it leaves behind. I'm gonna go pick up these little dudes. Beautiful. So it actually does quite a bit of stuff, and I really enjoyed making this actually. I thought it was pretty cool. It's the cleanest I've seen of an attempt at throwing things. It could be set up for other things, I'm sure, such as like breaking windows in the radius of the villager once you throw it. You can set it up to throw it further or higher. It's adjustable just by adjusting the motion. And I just thought it worked very nicely, and I think it's a pretty cool addition, basically. And the fact that it can also set off pressure plates without having to add any more command block lingo other than making the villager itself, you know. It worked pretty cool, I thought. So tell me what you guys think. Like and subscribe if you're new here, and I'll see you in the next video.